Discernment, next part. Is it negative? To be discerning, to speak and act on what we believe to be true, and to expose and separate ourselves from error is also considered to be negative. It is in fact negative. However, it's what God's words tell us to do. God spoke to Isaiah about the people of Israel, calling them rebellious because they didn't want to hear the truth. They demanded for their prophets to be blind, not speaking right things, and to only speak smooth things and deceits. Isaiah 39, this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak to us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Through Jeremiah, the Lord said that the prophets who were not speaking from his mouth, but were telling those who despised the Lord that they would have peace, and encouraged everyone who was walking in the imagination of their own hearts that everything would be well with them. They flattered the people and encouraged them to continue following their own hearts, even though they were at odds with the Lord. Jeremiah 23:6. Thus says the Lord of hosts, hearken not to the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of the Lord. They say still to those that despise me, the Lord has said, you shall have peace. And they say unto every one that walks after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. Paul warned of a time when those associated with churches would no longer tolerate sound doctrine, but would heap up for themselves teachers according to their own lusts. They would turn away from the truth, and they would follow after seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. All of these are negative things, and it's just the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. It's been this way since Paul wrote his letter to Timothy, and he clearly anticipated this situation and its struggle as normal. 2 Timothy 4:2, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all longsuffering and doctrine. 2 Timothy 4:3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall be turned away in their ears from the truth, and shall be turned to fables. But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, making full proof thy ministry. In other words, focus on the gospel. Paul encouraged Timothy to preach, to reprove, to rebuke, and exhort with doctrine, and he told them that he would have to endure afflictions. The afflictions come because of the negative stigma of this kind of discernment, contending, and struggle that would come from trying to help people come back from error who are conditioned to hearing smooth words, fair speech, and flattery. It was in this context that Paul spoke of fighting his own fight and finishing his own race. His expectation was the crown of righteousness. 2 Timothy 4:7, I have fought a good fight, I have finished my course, I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not only me, but all those who love his appearing. It is interesting that the crown of righteousness for those who love his appearing is found in the context of the struggle in preaching the word, reproving, rebuking, and exhorting with sound doctrine in the face of turning away from truth. Watching for and loving his appearing automatically puts one in a position of loving the truth, guarding the treasure, and guarding against the wolves and the robbers. It seems to all come together as we live in expectation of his coming. And this was written a couple years ago. I would say that my understanding now is that guarding the treasure, which is the gospel, from the thieves and the robbers, which are those who enter in by another way into the sheepfold other than Christ, and who speak concerning their own righteousness and traditions of men and vain deceit, philosophies of this world, and not according to Christ. Those who do not have the true gospel, who capture people by at first flattering them and then bringing them into their fold so that then they can abuse them by getting them into works righteousness. This is what we have to guard against, and it is guarding against this kind of thievery that causes us to be confident and to love his appearing. It's not that we love his appearing first, it's that we grow confident and bold in contending for the faith, and that produces a sense of assurance that makes us bold at his approach.